Anders Vejrgang won the World Cup in the most dominating fashion using these custom tactics. Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the FC Analyst channel. Now before I start explaining the custom tactics, I would like to shout out fellow YouTuber and pro player Olito, who has already made a video about this topic. And if you want to know more about what team he played and why he played it, I do recommend you watch his video as well. Now the formation that Anders was using was none other than the 4-3-2-1 formation. But the question is, what makes the 4-3-2-1 formation so special? Well, the 4-3-2-1 formation is definitely a more attacking formation. Like we can see, we have one striker up front, we have a RF and we also have an LF. And there are three players in the midfield, our RCM, our LCM and our center midfielder. There are no CDMs. In the defense, we have the standard 4 at the back. Now the 4-3-2-1 is a very narrow formation. Like I've discussed several times, the meta is to attack from the middle. That's where you are the most dangerous, because that's where you can take the most deadliest shots from outside the box and inside the box. But using the proper player instructions and custom tactics with such formation is very important. Like you will be learning in a bit how Anders used his fullbacks to help him in the attack as well as in the defense as well. Now let's have a look at the custom tactics that Anders played. But one thing you guys will learn is that Anders is not a meta abuser. His custom tactics are nothing out of the ordinary, but it is how he plays the game. Now his defensive style, he uses balance. Well, why not any other style, you may ask? Well, I think that is because he wants to have everything in his own hands. He does not want the AI to control his game. So if you want to play like that, balanced is your best bet. His defensive width is 50. Well, usually what I recommend is a more narrow defensive width, like 45 or even 40. But since the 4-3-2-1 is already a very narrow formation, 50 width is just perfect. His defensive depth. Now this is a tricky part. Now what many of the official pages posted was 57 depth. Well, I don't agree with 57 depth, here's why. Firstly, in most of the games Anders was playing, he was playing a very high defensive line. And a lot of sources were saying that he was playing 100 depth in many of his games. In one of my videos, I explained why 100 depth is very effective at this stage in FC. I showed how MS Dosari used it against Tex and how Tex was having so much trouble playing against it. And that's what I believe Anders was using in a lot of his games. I think he was playing 57 depth when he wants to play passive, when he is in a good lead and he wants to keep the ball. That's where 57 depth makes sense. But what I suggest for most of you guys is 65 depth. This will give you a hint of AI pressing. Your players will charge to win the ball back, but at the same time this won't be as risky as 100 depth and won't be as passive as 57 depth. 65 is a nice balanced number, which I recommend for most of the players. Like Olito also mentioned in his video that there is a major event coming in Riyadh, which is probably why Anders does not want to state his full tactics yet, but it is very evident that he is playing 100 depth. His build-up play is none other than balanced. Like I mentioned, Anders does not want the AI to influence his game. He likes to take things in his own hands, which is why he likes his custom tactics as balanced as possible. His chance creation is also direct passing. With a formation like 4-3-2-1, direct passing is very effective. You could play a quick pass from your fullbacks to your center midfielders and then create some space and make a direct R1 pass into your striker. Or you could also play the L1 triangle lob ball into one of your attackers as well. His offensive width is also 50. Since the 4-3-2-1 is a narrow formation, you guys could try 55 depth to provide you guys with some width in the attack as well. So it is not very one-dimensional. Players in the box, he played it at 5. Corners were at 3 and his free kicks were at 2. Now let's have a look at the instructions. His striker was everything on default. His left forward was also everything on default. However, his right forward was come back on defense and everything else was at default. But guys, we must focus on the fact that what makes Vejrgang so special is his style of play. He does not let RNG influence his gameplay. What does that mean? He doesn't use glitches apart from corners. His gameplay is mainly focused on holding the ball on one wing, switching it, then passing it at a very high tempo to dismantle the defense of his opponent. He plays the game to the percentages and always chooses the correct pass, the correct skill, the correct first touch. These little intricate movements let him play like he does. So before you copy the instructions, do keep that in mind. His central mid was at stay back while attacking and cover center. His RCM was at cover center as well. Everything else was at default. And his LCM was everything default. His left back was stay back while attacking and run type was overlap. But on the right side he was playing everything default and his run type was overlap. He uses overlap on both his fullbacks to provide width in his gameplay. So both his right back and left back can act as wider passing options and also help to switch the ball from left to right or right to left when you are under some pressure. Now, like we learned guys, there is no magic in the tactics. Everything is mostly at default and the custom tactics are as balanced as possible. The magic is in how he plays the game, how he is able to break the defense of the opponent. If you just try to copy his tactics, it will be just another tactic video that you have watched on YouTube. You must realize it's how he plays the game, not the tactics.